Speaker Pelosi says the next 48 hours are critical. What does that break down to?
Well, Democrats are really needing to pass 4 different issues, and I think that that's the real crux of their problem right now, is that they have so much on their plate. Let's break this down a little bit. Over the next couple of hours, you are going to see Democrats begin debating that continuing resolution or that government funding bill, as well as an increase in the debt ceiling. We expect a vote on the House in the House of Representatives today on that package. That's essentially daring Republicans to vote to shut down the government. Democrats have been arguing that they believe it is the responsibility of both the Republicans and Democrats to increase the country's borrowing limit, but Republicans have been arguing it's Democrats' responsibility. So in order to get around that, Democrats have attached the 2 items, arguing that this is potentially a way to put pressure on Republicans. In the House, they don't need those Republican votes, but once it goes over to the Senate, they will. And we are being told from many Republicans, including Mitt Romney, who I talked to yesterday, that he is going to vote no to increase the debt ceiling, no matter what is attached to. So that's going to be a major issue. Then you have Democrats needing to work through their own infrastructure agenda, as well as that big social safety net bill. Those are 2 separate agenda items. And as you know, Erica, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had promised a vote next Monday on that bipartisan infrastructure bill that already passed in the Senate. But now you have some progressives saying that they will vote no on that proposal unless she can also muscle through that $3.5 trillion social safety net bill. There are still major sticking points that remain for Democrats on that major piece of legislation, including whether or not to increase taxes for many wealthy Americans, how big that bill should be, as well as whether to include a prescription drug proposal that's controversial among the Democratic caucus. So there's not much time, and when the speaker says the next 48 hours are critical, she means the next 48 hours are critical to seeing if Democrats can be united in the path forward.
No, the next 48 hours are critical to the American people, and today is critical to the American people, to all of us. And here's what. I mean, there's so much that they're trying to do because, the August recess being vacation time, they just got back yesterday. And what was on their plates waiting for them? The debt ceiling needs to be raised, right? And you got the Republicans, every freaking year we go through this, we don't want to raise the debt ceiling. We just like spending the money when we're in power. And then we throw it on your plate and say, you got to do something without us to pay the bills for the things we spent on. Because that's what the debt ceiling is. The debt ceiling is not permission to keep spending. It's not future spending. It's past spending. That is what you need to understand about the debt ceiling. It's money that was already voted for, appropriated by previous Congresses. So we have to raise the debt ceiling. And now, you have Mitch McConnell saying, the Republicans aren't going to help you do that. You know that.
Let me be crystal clear about this. Republicans are united in opposition to raising the debt ceiling.
Done. We're in total. I mean, I've whipped my guys. I've got everyone in the Republican Party in the Senate to say no. You know what happens if we have to do this every year, because every year we go through this every year. Okay, so here's what happens if the United States should default on its debt. 6 million people would be unemployed. Okay, about $15 trillion of household wealth would be wiped out. The stock market would tank by about a third. Okay, why 6 million? Well, because you'd have federal employees not getting paid. Social Security payments would stop too. Military pay would stop. Right? You see what I mean? And the government, would cease to have the reserve currency for the world. Okay, we would be worthless. We would be, an also ran. We would be a country that failed. We would be, a complete failure, and the whole world would be thrown into chaos. Just saying. And Mitch McConnell's willing to do that for partisanship. And he's always been willing to do that for partisanship. When he was in the majority and they had a president that he liked, this was him.
Let me be crystal clear about this.
That's today.
Republicans are united in opposition to raising the debt ceiling. Well, we raised the debt ceiling because America can't default. I mean, that would be a disaster.
So Mitch McConnell versus Mitch McConnell, which is, really. I mean, do they not know that we tape them? Are they like when they stand in front of a camera and a microphone, are they unaware that they're being recorded? Because I'm not unaware that I'm being recorded. Why is the leader of the Senate, minority leader of the Senate, unaware that he's on the TV? I don't know. Anyway, so that can't happen. So we have to do that today. So what the Democrats have done now is they I thought maybe they would try disaster relief, which, the South is decimated by, hurricanes and floods and all kinds of, disasters. So I thought maybe they would tie the disaster relief money to the debt ceiling. But no, they've done something even more succinct, the Democrats have. They've now tied, that's what she said in the report, they've now tied the shutdown of the government to raising the debt ceiling. So either these Republicans are willing to literally do and they have done it before. You know that. We've seen it. No good comes of it. And then you know what happens? Mitch McConnell blames Chuck Schumer for it. This is what he does all the time. They do really horrible things. And then they blame the other side for doing the horrible thing that they did. But if you defaulted the United States, I mean, honestly, there would be no coming back. There would be absolutely no coming back. Now, that's kind of where the Republican Party is. Ted Cruz is actually threatening to do this on purpose because, well, it must be part of the great plan he would have for us as president. I don't know. But he's the lunatic on the bus that is threatening, that we're all going to die, and then asking if he could drive the bus, and then 40% of the people on the bus saying, yes, let him drive, and then he runs it off the road, and that's the end of the movie, right? But they literally don't care because, and I'm telling you this over and over again because it is the defining principle of the Republican Party. Biden must fail. Biden must fail. Period. And so if defaulting the government and imploding everything here in the United States, as long as it happens with a Democratic president, especially a Joe Biden presidency, who cares? Not them. They don't care. They don't care. If 600, we passed the number of dead. I told you yesterday we would, and we did. We've surpassed the number of people we lost in the 1919 Spanish flu pandemic, which was not from Spain, but 675,000 died in 1918 from the flu, and they didn't have a vaccine back then. 676,000 have died from COVID, and we do have a vaccine. So if people have to die, the Republicans are fine with it. In fact, they'll give you bad information just so the numbers will look terrible. Don't have time to listen.